Your body sent you a signal yesterday and you missed it. It wasn't on the scale and it wasn't in the mirror. It was something strange, something you probably brushed right off. Maybe your breath smelled different or sleep felt oddly restless. Maybe hunger just vanished and you didn't think twice. Here's what was actually happening underneath the surface of your day. Your body had quietly switched fuel sources from sugar to fat. It stopped running on glucose and started burning stored fat. Today, we're walking through 8 science-backed signs of that switch. At least 3 of these will genuinely surprise you. If you're doing keto, fasting, or simply cutting back on sugar, you've probably asked yourself the same question more than once. Is this actually working, or am I wasting my time? Most people only check one thing, and it's the wrong one, the scale, because the scale lies more than it tells the truth. It moves with water weight, muscle changes, hormones, and stress. It is one of the worst indicators of real fat loss. What we're covering today are the real signals your body sends, the ones that confirm fat is actually being used as fuel. Some of these signs are obvious, most of them are not. Let's get into the first one right now. Sign 1, your hunger is disappearing and it feels strange. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of fat burning. Your hunger becomes manageable, almost suspiciously easy to control. When your body runs on glucose, blood sugar spikes and crashes. Every crash sends a hunger signal straight to your brain. That's why pasta leaves you hungry again just 2 hours later. Fat metabolism works in a completely different way than that. When you're burning fat, your liver produces molecules called ketone bodies. Ketones have a direct appetite-suppressing effect on the brain. They specifically calm down the hunger hormone known as ghrelin. Studies show people in ketosis report far lower hunger levels. That happens even while they're eating in a calorie deficit. Here's what this looks like in ordinary daily life. You skip breakfast and realize it's already 1 in the afternoon. You sit down to dinner, eat half your plate, and feel satisfied. The 3 o'clock sugar cravings that felt unbearable simply disappear. This isn't willpower, and it was never about self-control. This is biochemistry, plain and simple, working quietly in the background. Your body no longer begs for sugar every few hours. It has a stable fuel source now, your own body fat. If this sounds familiar, fat burning has almost certainly begun. Sign 2, your energy stays steady with no afternoon crash. You eat lunch, blood sugar spikes, insulin rushes in to help. Blood sugar drops hard and suddenly your eyelids feel heavy. When you're burning fat, that entire cycle gets broken apart. Fat and ketones provide steadier, more consistent energy than glucose ever did. Your blood sugar stays even and insulin stays low all day. Your brain actually prefers ketones as fuel in many situations. It gets a clean, steady supply instead of constant spikes. Here's what you'll start to notice in your own life. You stop needing coffee at 2 just to keep functioning. Mental energy feels consistent from early morning into the evening. The post-lunch brain fog that used to hit disappears entirely. Your mood becomes more stable because mood swings often mirror blood sugar. Now, I want to be honest about something important here. Before reaching this stage, many people go through the keto flu. Fatigue, headaches, irritability, all part of a temporary transition phase. That's your body learning to use fat as fuel efficiently. Once you're through it, the stable energy changes everything. Sign 3, your sleep changes in a very vivid way. This one catches almost everyone completely off guard at first. When your body shifts into fat burning, sleep patterns often shift too. The most common change people report is far more vivid dreams. Here's the likely reason behind that strange nighttime shift. Ketones are neuroactive and they cross the blood-brain barrier easily. They influence brain activity in ways glucose simply doesn't. Some research suggests they increase the intensity of dream stage sleep. There's also a connection here involving growth hormone at night. Fat-burning diets tend to lower insulin levels significantly overnight. Growth hormone is suppressed by insulin, so lower insulin means more growth hormone. Growth hormone is one of the strongest natural signals for fat breakdown.
That breakdown happens quietly while you're deep asleep. Sign 4, you're getting mild headaches or occasional brain fog. Wait, isn't that supposed to be a bad sign? Actually, in the right context, it's not a bad sign at all. Early headaches and temporary fog are signals of active transition. Here's exactly what's happening inside your body during this phase. When you cut carbs, your body starts depleting its glycogen stores. Water follows glycogen out of the body during this process. Along with that water, you lose key electrolytes like sodium and potassium. Low electrolytes cause headaches, and low electrolytes cause brain fog too. This is common enough in early keto to have its own name. It's called the keto flu, and it's not a warning sign. This is not your body telling you to eat more carbs. It's your body adjusting to an entirely new fuel system. Here's how you can get through it faster and easier. Salt your food generously, using a good quality salt. Get potassium from avocados, leafy greens, and a handful of nuts. Consider adding a magnesium supplement, since most people run low anyway. Drink enough water, but don't overdo it either way. Too much water can actually flush out even more electrolytes. Most people move through the keto flu within 3 to 7 days. On the other side is clear thinking and real appetite control. Sign 5, your workouts feel harder at first, then far better. If you exercise and start a fat-burning diet, expect a dip. Lifts feel heavier, cardio feels harder, everything feels a little slower. This dip is completely temporary, and here's exactly why it happens. Your muscles are used to running on glucose for quick bursts. Fat metabolism mobilizes more slowly and produces energy at a different rate. Your muscles need time to build the enzymes fat burning requires. Athletes call this process fat adaptation, and it takes real time. It typically kicks in fully somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks. Once you're fat adapted, the benefits genuinely start stacking up quickly. Many endurance athletes report sustained energy through long training sessions. They need fewer gels, fewer carbs, and far less muscle soreness. Recovery becomes faster too, since fat burning reduces overall inflammation. Body composition improves as well, with a better muscle-to-fat ratio. That early dip in performance was never a warning sign. It was simply your muscle cells retraining their entire fuel system. Sign 6, your skin might break out, then clear up completely. This one genuinely surprises a lot of people going through it. In the early days of cutting carbs, some people notice breakouts. The exact reason isn't fully understood, but there are 2 leading theories. The first involves detoxification happening deep inside your fat cells. Your body stores certain compounds inside fat tissue for years. As fat gets mobilized and broken down, those compounds get released. They travel through the bloodstream and get processed by your liver and skin. The second theory involves shifting hormones during this transition period. Reducing insulin affects androgen hormones that influence oil production in skin. This adjustment period can trigger temporary breakouts, especially along the jawline. But here's the encouraging part of this particular story.
Chronically high insulin is directly linked to acne and skin aging. Once insulin stabilizes at a lower baseline, skin often improves dramatically. Most people eventually see clearer skin, less puffiness, and better tone. Any breakout that happens is almost always short-lived and temporary. What follows is often skin that looks noticeably healthier than before. Sign 7, you start feeling emotionally and mentally sharper than usual. This is the sign that makes people fall in love with this. Once the adaptation period ends and your brain adjusts to ketones, the mental clarity that follows can genuinely feel striking and unexpected. People describe thinking faster, feeling calmer, and staying focused longer. There's a steady mood present that simply wasn't there before. Your brain can draw up to 70% of its energy from ketones. Ketones are a more efficient brain fuel than glucose in several ways. They produce more usable energy per unit than glucose ever could.
They also reduce oxidative stress and calm inflammation in neural tissue. For everyday purposes, this means your thinking feels sharper and clearer. If your brain feels like it's running in higher resolution now, that mental shift is a strong sign fat burning has taken hold. Before we get to sign 8, let's revisit that opening moment. Remember the strange breath we mentioned at the very start? That's actually a real and well-documented sign of ketosis. When your body produces ketones, one of them is called acetone. Acetone is partly released through your lungs, not just your kidneys. This can create a faint fruity or metallic smell on your breath. It's harmless, temporary, and usually fades as your body adjusts fully. Some people notice it strongest in the first 2 or 3 weeks. Sugar-free gum or extra water usually helps mask it easily. Along with breath changes, thirst and bathroom habits often shift too. As glycogen stores drop, your body releases water it was holding. This means you might feel thirstier and urinate more than usual. That's why electrolytes matter so much during this specific transition period. Replacing sodium and potassium prevents the dehydration this process can cause. Now let's clear up a few common myths about fat burning. Myth 1. If the scale isn't moving, nothing is happening at all. We already covered why that's false, but it's worth repeating clearly. Fat loss and scale weight are related, but they are not identical. Myth 2. Feeling tired always means the diet isn't working correctly. Sometimes tiredness just means you need more salt and more water. Myth 3. Ketosis and fat burning only happen on strict keto diets. Fat burning can increase with fasting, lower carb eating, or simple calorie control. Ketosis is one path to fat burning, but it isn't the only one. Myth 4. Once you're fat adapted, you'll never feel hungry again. Hunger still happens sometimes, it just becomes far more manageable overall. Understanding these myths helps you interpret your own body's signals correctly. It also helps you avoid quitting over a normal, temporary phase. Let's talk briefly about timing, since everyone wants to know when. Hunger changes often show up first, sometimes within just a few days. Steady energy and better sleep usually follow within 1 to 2 weeks. Headaches and brain fog, if they happen, tend to fade within a week. Workout performance often dips for 2 to 3 weeks before improving. Skin changes and mental sharpness tend to show up a bit later. Inches lost become noticeable anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks in. Everyone's timeline shifts a little based on starting point and consistency. Patience during the first 2 weeks matters more than almost anything else. That's the phase where most people quit right before things improve. Sign 8. You're losing inches and not just losing pounds. This last sign is one you measure, not one you feel.
But it might be the most meaningful sign on this entire list. When you're burning fat, scale weight can move frustratingly slowly, but your body composition is changing underneath that stubborn number. Your clothes fit differently, your waistline shrinks, your face looks less puffy. People start noticing before the scale reflects any real change. Here's why that gap between appearance and scale weight exists. Fat loss and weight loss are simply not the same thing. Water, muscle, glycogen, and inflammation all affect scale weight too. None of those things are actually the same as stored fat. When the scale stalls, a lot of people give up too early. But measurements often tell a very different, more encouraging story. Waist, hips, arms, and thighs often shrink even when weight doesn't. Here's some practical advice you can start using immediately today. Take your measurements weekly, or at minimum every 2 weeks. Take progress photos too, since they reveal changes numbers often miss. Pay close attention to how your clothes actually fit day to day. That's often the most honest feedback you'll get on any given day. Fat burning is real, and it is genuinely measurable over time, but it doesn't always show up the way social media suggests. Trust the process, track the right things, and results will follow. Before we wrap up, let's cover what can actually stall this process. Mistake 1.
not eating enough fat to properly replace lost carbs. Fat isn't the enemy here, it's your new primary fuel source. Cutting carbs and fat together often leaves you running on empty. Mistake 2, ignoring protein intake while focusing only on cutting carbs. Protein protects your muscle mass while your body adapts to burning fat. Losing muscle alongside fat slows your metabolism down over time. Mistake 3, chronic stress and poor sleep working against your progress. Cortisol, your stress hormone, can raise blood sugar and blunt fat burning. Even a perfect diet struggles against consistently high stress levels. Mistake 4, constant snacking that keeps insulin elevated throughout the day. Fat burning ramps up during longer gaps between meals and snacks. Grazing all day, even on low-carb foods, can slow this down. Mistake 5, expecting linear progress instead of a gradual, uneven curve. Fat burning isn't a straight line. It has stalls and sudden drops. Weight and inches often move in bursts rather than steady daily amounts. Mistake 6, comparing your timeline to someone else's completely different body. Age, hormones, activity level, and genetics all shape how fast this moves. Your pace is your own, and comparison rarely tells the full story. Avoiding these 6 mistakes won't guarantee instant results overnight, but it removes the obstacles that quietly slow most people down. Combine that with the 8 signs we just walked through together, and you have a genuinely reliable way to track real progress. Not the kind of progress Instagram photos show in 30 seconds, the kind that happens quietly, day after day, inside your own body. So there you have it. 8 real signs your body has switched from burning sugar as its main fuel to burning stored fat instead. Not everyone experiences all 8 of these at exactly the same time. Everyone's metabolism, hormones, and gut microbiome are a little bit different. But if you notice even 4 or 5 of these signs, there's a strong chance your body has already made the switch. Sometimes people quit right before results are about to kick in. Understanding these signs might be exactly what keeps someone going a little longer. The scale is not the whole story, and it never really was. Your body is talking to you constantly in quieter ways than numbers. Learning to listen to those signals changes how you see progress, and once you see it clearly, it's hard to go back. One last thing worth mentioning before we close this out completely.
None of these signs exist in isolation from one another. They tend to build on each other as weeks pass by. Steady hunger control often leads directly into more consistent daily energy. Consistent energy makes better sleep and sharper focus much more likely. Better sleep supports the hormone shifts that drive deeper fat burning. It becomes a slow, reinforcing cycle rather than 8 separate events. That's part of why the first 2 weeks feel the hardest. You're waiting for a cycle that hasn't fully started spinning yet. Once it does, the signs stop feeling random and start feeling connected. You begin to notice patterns instead of isolated, confusing symptoms. A headache stops feeling scary once you understand where it comes from. A skipped meal stops feeling like failure once you understand appetite regulation. A stalled scale stops feeling discouraging once you're tracking the right numbers. This shift in understanding is often more valuable than any single sign because it changes how you respond the next time something feels off. Instead of panicking or quitting, you start recognizing what's actually happening. You start trusting the process instead of second-guessing every single day. That trust, built on actual understanding, tends to outlast motivation alone. Motivation fades, but a body you understand keeps sending honest signals. Learn to read them, and the rest becomes far more manageable. Not easy, but manageable, one honest signal at a time. That's really what this entire process comes down to in the end. If you've made it this far, take a moment to reflect honestly. Think back over the last week and count your own signs quietly. Was your hunger a little quieter than it used to be? Did your energy stay steadier through the afternoon than before? Did you sleep a little differently or dream more than usual?
Small signals like these are easy to miss if you're not looking, but once you start looking, you'll likely notice more than expected. Write them down if it helps, even just a short daily note. Patterns become obvious on paper in a way memory alone misses. Give yourself permission to trust small, quiet progress over dramatic change. Fat burning was never meant to feel like an overnight transformation. It's a slow, steady rebuilding of how your body uses fuel. Respect that timeline, support it with rest, salt, water, and patience, and the signs we covered today will keep confirming it's working. Not with fireworks, but with quiet, consistent, believable evidence. That's the kind of progress that actually tends to last.